Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about HTTP packages, right? If you have been following my series, my channel, you will know that I do this for absolute beginners, starting from scratch. So basically, you have learned the arrays packages, you have, sorry, the arrays, the variables, the arrays, the what do you call it, the arrays, the strings, the boolean, and we have probably learned the interfaces and functions, of course. And then you are wondering how to connect all these dots, how to um, write a write something that can be rendered on the web or communicate to the web. So that this is where HTTP packages come to play. So today we're going to be working on HTTP packages. So first thing first, as usual, probably create a new folder. Let's name this HTTP beginners, right? HTTP beginner. So open this with your code editor. Me, I use Golang. I don't really need to open this. I'm going to use Golang. So like like you probably know, the first thing to create is a main.go file. I'm going to create a main file, main.go. That's the main.go file. So we are going to have, is it going to be package main? This is where all your, this is the entry point to your code, right? Whatever function you're writing, you're going to call it in func main. You're going to call it in func main. So whatever you're writing, that's what you're going to call it. So now one thing we should do, one thing we should, I believe we should do, because you might not need it now, yeah, but going forward you'll need it. There's something called a mod file, a go mod file. There's something called a go mod file. This this houses all your dependencies, if I can spell that right. Where is this? What's showing me play? Yeah, dependencies slash external packages. Yeah, we might not need it here, but I would say it's better we just you just know about it and get it off the way. So right now I'm going to do go mod init. This is the command go mod init. Since we are calling it HTTP beginner, so let's just stick to it. So right now it's going to it creates a go mod file. So now from this go mod file, you can see that I am working with Go 1.22.1. So like I said, you might not really get to appreciate this go mod file on in this particular episode or series or whatever you want to call this, or in this particular video, because we are working with HTTP package, and HTTP packages are internal packages, not external packages. So it doesn't have to call go get any dependencies. But if we're working with frameworks, because most times you're not just working with HTTP packages, you're working with frameworks like Jane Johnny, Mux. So it's going to go, those are external packages, so it's going to go get it. So that's that. So we just leave it here. In our subsequent videos, we are going to see what is all about, right? So can just clean this off. So let's start. So now, but let's talk about talking about HTTP packages, right? HTTP, you can read about it online. HTTP packages. HTTP packages. These are used to establish more or less. Please, I'm using my words. Don't quote me anywhere. Probably it's better you go get maybe read online about it. But let me just use my words. You can maybe, I think you can understand it better this way. Establish connection between a client, between a client, client being web browser, and a server being your code base. Basically, this is if I was asked to, let me reduce this, right? If I was asked to give a generic overview of what HTTP packages are, this is it. There's really nothing to it, right? So now, how do you do it? So you first need to set up a server, run a server, and that's very easy with HTTP package. All you have to do is do HTTP listen and serve, yeah, and then you choose the address you want it to run on. Like you can see now, if you over this, it's going to say that it's just read it. It's going to say listen and serve listens on the HTTP network address this ADDR, and then calls and serve with handler to handle request of incoming connections, right? So now, our address, let's just use maybe 88 is usually the, what the first thing people use, 8080, 8000. Let's just use 8000, right? Let's use 8000. And then handler, let's leave it as new, right? We are not really using that, right? All we want to know is that, let me just log this here so that you can see what is happening. Log.println server started, server starting, or started, whatever, server started. So now, what's going to happen now is, once you run your code base, go run the go run main.go, is going to come here and start your server and keep your server connection on, running on localhost 8000. So whatever connection that you are, whatever communication or data you're sending between your web browser or your web browser and your localhost server, this server on localhost 8000, you're going to get the results here. So for example, let's start with something very basic. We can start with let's just, and then before you get it, you might need to how do you get to call those endpoints? How do you call those endpoints? You call those endpoints using http dots, I think handle func, yeah, handle func, and then just have a slash here, and then they just call this function, then the function that handles whatever you're going to do. So they just call this function handler, right? It's red because we have not done anything to it yet, so we are going to create that function. Let's create that function handler. So now, if the yeah, you write it out. So now, if you're going to write a function for HTTP request, it's there are signatures to it. Yeah, it needs two things. You need a writer, which is http dot response writer, yeah, http dot response writer, and you also need a request, which is a pointer to the HTTP request. So basically, what this means is that if you can hover around it, you'll see a response writer interface is used by HTTP handler. This handler, basically used by HTTP handler to construct HTTP response. In other words, after you finish manipulating your stuff and you want to write out a response to the outside world, or to back to your browser, this is what you need. You need a writer to do that. And then requests, you can see all the fields inside request. So request says it represents HTTP request received by a server or to be sent by a client, right? So what it says is that the request that is being sent to you is going to be received using this request, HTTP request. And you can we have the body, we have the header, get body function. So there are ways, we'll get to it in due time, right? So work with me, right? So the most basic thing you can, let's just say you want to write something, you can just do fmt dot printf. Yeah, don't forget fnt dot that f printf. So see, now you can see that this request requires a writer and then whatever you want to write out. So basically you have your writer is w, and then you're writing world hello world, right? So basically this is like a very very basic http request. So now let's start our server. So before we start a server, we can just write server start running. Just write server running on local hosts 8000. So go run main dot go. You can see that server running on localhost 8000. So if you go to localhost 8000, the path is slash. So keep that in mind. So if you go to localhost 8000 slash, you can see hello world. Whether you put the slash or you don't put the slash, it's assumed as nothing after that. So it's you can see that's hello world, right? So that's that for that. Okay, now what I would say, if you don't know about Postman, I'm not going to be testing on this browser. I think it's easier to test on Postman. So if you don't know about Postman, please Postman, please download Postman. I already have it in my system. I'm not going to download it anymore. Download it. You can watch a video about it, sign in, and get it on your system. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So I have Postman here. Postman. I do have Postman here. So let me just open my Postman and we get to work, right? Okay. Anytime from now. Yeah, while that is starting up, let's um let's write another function, right? Just write another function. Let's just illustrate something else. Let's call this roots, right? And what we're going to do in this roots, just write this is the roots root. Just say this is the root. Okay, URL. So now what we're going to do, we are going to print something. Let's have a placeholder here so that we can call something. So we're going to I want to show you how this how the request here works, right? So what it does is you're going to call r dot, maybe you want to call the URL so you can see what is the part of the URL. So that's what I want to do here. So now let's have it on another endpoint here, call roots. Another endpoint called root. Let's call the function here root. As you can see, wow, this takes time to, yeah, okay, we're back, we are up, successfully updated. Oh well. So now our endpoint, our localhost is still running on 80. So let's just call let's call this, right? Send it across hello world. You can see that we have hello world there. That's the hello world that we printed here, right? So now let's stop this. To stop your server, control C to stop your server. So we have written this root function and we have called it here as an endpoint. So now let's start this up again so that we can have access to that. Okay, running on localhost. So now if you call slash root, you can see this is the root URL. It's coming as slash root, because what you're trying to do is what we did here, we got the path slash root from the request header, no, sorry, from the request itself. Like I said, if you over the request, you see the URL, and if you click on this URL, you'll probably be seeing, sorry, let's help you out. Click on this URL, you'll probably be seeing you can see path, and all those things, right? So there are so many things inside this request. This is the part, and let's just be specific. Let's just get from index 1 to the end. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to cut out this the slash and just print root to the end, right? So let's stop that. Control C, like I said, start it again. So if you are printing this, if you click this, you can see it just comes with root. That's the root. So by the way, this is the placeholder for it's a string. You are trying to hold a string here, and this is the string you're holding here. So if that's topic for another day, right? So now let's do something a little bit it's not complicated, but a little bit maybe let's go a step further, right? And yeah, we have let's talk about methods. There are different methods in when you're working with HTTP requests. There are different HTTP methods. So let's write it here. Different HTTP methods, right? And we have a get method, a post method, um, put method, patch method, and then we have delete method. So I would say take your time, read about these methods. There are more though. There are more, but these are the basic five that you get to work with. This is the basic five that we all get to work with. So for example now, get method. This in relation to a database, right? This gets whatever you have in a database and display it for anybody calling it to see, basically. Like I explained in one of my videos that the job of a software developer or a software engineer is to get data from somewhere and store it and then render the data back to whoever needs the data and manipulate data, basically manipulation and transportation of data. So this get helps you get the data from wherever it was stored, database, and render it to whoever needs it. This post helps you get data from um from the outside to go and store it in the database somewhere, right? So we're talking about posts, you'll probably be getting data from or information from user, or maybe you put your email address and password. That's the data. It takes it from you and goes to the database and store it, or use it to do whatever it wants to do, and store it there in the database. Put put is what do you call it? Put and patch. Let's talk about put and patch. Put is basically updating. Patch is also updating. But now the difference between put and patch is that for patch, if you try updating, it takes data from the outside world and wants to go and update the data in the database. If that data is not already in the database, a patch will throw error because you need to have something in the data already in the database before you can update it. But if it's already in the data, if it's not in the database and you are using a put method, it's going to put it there instead of throwing an error that is not there. It's going to try and update it. If it's not there in the database, it's going to put it there, create it there. So it works like a post. Whenever it doesn't see the data there, it's going to create it there, because that's what posts do. Post takes data and creates in a database. Now delete is delete. Whatever you want to, whenever you want to delete something from your database, you use delete. So like I said, go through this. I'm just giving you a summary so that you will not get lost when I'm coding some things, right? So yeah, let's work with methods here. Let's work with methods. Let's what we do, let's just call this we only we let's just say we are only calling post get and post requests. We are only processing, let's say processing get and post request. So this is going to be your whatever you're getting. So now let's say if if our dot method, so we're talking about working with method now. If our dot method is equals to get we should do something here. Or and then uh if our dot method is equals to post, we should do something here. So basically what we're trying to do is let's just say for get is easy. Let's just copy this. I don't have time to type it again. Just say hello, welcome to our web page or whatever, and then we return. So when you return, it means when it gets here, you do this thing, then you return. It doesn't read any, it doesn't come down here to do whatever it's going to do here. But let's say if it's not get and it comes in as post, what you do, let's do something like let's get whatever is being, like I said, when you're doing post, you're getting something from your web and trying to create it in your database or trying to manipulate it to do something. So for you to get post, let's just get post. So for us to get that using this, you can always do, you check for error and then you use this I think our dot pass form. Yeah, our dot pass form. You use our dot pass form. So basically you might not really need to cram this, right? Going forward, probably my subsequent videos will use frameworks like Gene Gonic. These things happen under the hood when you use other frameworks like Gonic, and there's also Mux, Gorilla Mux. So most of these things happen under the hood, but it's also good for you to have an idea of what is going on, right? So right now, what you're trying to do, you're trying to get, if it's a post, that means there's if it's in form of a form data, so you're going to try and pass the form here, and then once you pass the form here, if there's an error, you check for your error. If error is not equals to nil, so if there's an error and error is not nil, what you would do is you want to render the error out, right? Let the user know there's an error. Yeah, and then this you can write, you could have done anything here, delete whatever you want to delete, but now the best thing to do is in HTTP packages there are ways to return errors. You can just do HTTP dot error. Yeah, as you can see, it needs a response writer, which is this W here, then the string, maybe the error message, and then the error code, um status code. You can always check out your status code to go through status code. So we're having W, the message, let's say error while passing. I would say give messages back to the users that they can understand, right? You can always give message back to users they can understand. They might not really understand what error while passing, but what the heck. And then error code, you might just use http dot c. We can have this this is the status code int, is an int. You can have okay 2000, but now it's not okay. If it's an error, we should have like maybe bad requests. Probably we are not sending the pass form request properly. That's why we might have error here. So now we've handled that error. So if there's no error, what should we do? If there's no error, we should probably get how will I put it now? We should probably get the value of whatever. Let's just say we're trying to pass in a name and your occupation, or a name and your age, so that we can write something with something. So let's just say name. We're going to be passing in names, and when you're passing in, so and when you want to you get that through a key. So probably the key you're going to use to pass in your name is going to be like form value. Yeah, I'm going to get it from a form value which has a key. Probably the key is going to be name, and then we have, let's say, age, right? Then the key is going to be age. So probably when you get this, you might want to just like I said, sorry, I'm just doing copy and paste here, but you want to start typing everything all over again. You might want to do give it a placeholder. For example, Joseph is age, another placeholder. For int, Joseph is 17 years old, basically. So now the placeholder here is for the first one is for name, while the second one is for age, right? So once you have done that, you return, because you don't want it to, if you don't return it, it's going to come and print this one too. So you return it. That's why you return this, because if you don't return this, it's going to come to post, or come and print this one too. So that's it. Then basically we are done with a simple post, a simple get and post request. And if you put any other thing that is not post and get, it's going to say we are only processing get and post request. So let's shut down, Control C, and then restart our server running on localhost. Yeah. So now if you do this, if you do a put, it's going to say, no, this is, you're looking at root, sorry. We're going to handle, we are working with handle here, and a slash. So if you do handle alone, so you can see we're only processing get and post requests, while input, when we did roots, it went, because we're not taking note of the post, put, request, whatever. We just wanted to print whatever we have here out, so don't get confused. So now when we do a get request, we are saying hello, welcome to our web page. Now when we do a post initially, without feeding in any data, we are going to have something like Tony is here. Sorry, I think I probably have something. I think I probably have data somewhere there. Body. Yeah, I have data here, body. But let's say you don't put any body. Let's say you don't put, so as you can see, there's no occupation here as a key. That's why it didn't have anything there for age or occupation. So if you put this to change this to age, but let's just do it without any body, and you see what we have is years old. There's nothing putting in, going in. So but if you check this, and then you put in, let's say Joseph, then you have let's just say sweet 18 years old. And if you send this, you see Joseph is 18 years old. You can play with it. Mike is 78, for example. Mike is 78 years old. So this is how you write this is how you write, or you write a basic HTTP request that communicates with your browser. And in subsequent videos, we are going to be looking at using frameworks for this, because that's what is industry standard anyways. Using frameworks for this, so that you don't have to worry about all these things under the hood. So stay tuned, and thank you.